Imagine this. You are at a party, the room buzzing with laughter and clinking glasses. You see a man, let's call him Alex, holding court in the center. He remembers every name, laughs at every joke, his attention making each person feel like the most important individual in the world. He is the embodiment of charisma, a master of the social universe. And as you watch, a cold knot tightens in your stomach. It's not admiration you feel. It's a deep, unsettling dread, because you see the mechanics behind the magic. The calculated nod, the perfectly timed question, the mirroring of posture that is just a little too precise. You are not watching a man connect with others. You are watching a master angler, patiently and skillfully reeling in his catch. This is the first, chilling glimpse into the dark side. This is the central, haunting paradox that Dale Carnegie's work, when viewed through a certain lens, presents to us. The very techniques designed to build genuine connection, to win friends and influence people, contain within them a dormant and potent shadow. They can become a psychological toolkit, not for fostering community, but for executing a silent, social-scale takeover of another person's will. What if the greatest book ever written on human connection is also the greatest manual ever written on psychological manipulation? The principles are the same. The smile, the appreciation, the act of making someone feel heard and valued. Are these the building blocks of friendship, or the most sophisticated chains ever devised? You've felt this tension before. That moment when a salesperson uses your first name one too many times, and the warmth curdles into calculation. That instance when a colleague's effusive praise suddenly feels like a lever being pulled, designed to make you compliant. You felt the gears turning, and the humanity drain away. This is the book's core problem, the ghost in its machine. It asks a question that should keep you awake at night. In a world where influence is currency, how do you know if you are building a bridge or laying a trap? And more terrifyingly, how do you know if you are the builder or the prey? The book presents itself as a key, but to which door? The one that opens to a life of rich, authentic relationships? Or the one that leads to a hall of mirrors, where every smile is a reflection of a hidden agenda, and every friendship is a transaction waiting to be settled? The principles are neutral, like fire. They can warm a home or burn a city to the ground. The same law of human nature that states, become genuinely interested in other people. To build rapport can be weaponized to feign interest, to mine for weaknesses, to create a sense of indebtedness that has no genuine foundation. This is the intellectual and moral vertigo that awaits. We stand before a locked door, not in a library, but in the architecture of our own minds. On one side lies the person we hope we are, authentic, connected, and kind. On the other, the person we fear we could become, a strategic, calculating puppet master, mistaking control for connection. The key is in your hand. Do you turn it? The journey to the dark side does not begin with a malevolent plan. It begins with a single, simple, and dangerously effective principle: the insatiable hunger to win. So, what is the root of this chilling paradox? The diagnosis, as we excavate it from the text, is not a simple flaw in the techniques themselves, but a profound and deeply buried flaw in the human engine that drives them. Carnegie's work, when read with this darker lens, exposes a fundamental, almost predatory, force within us: the insatiable human craving for ego gratification, and the realization that the most efficient way to feed your own ego is to become a masterful feeder of others. The hidden problem is that our social world is not built on a foundation of mutual respect, but on a silent, desperate economy of validation. We are all, the book suggests, validation vampires and validation suppliers, locked in a dance where influence is the currency and friendship is often just the market. Carnegie's genius was to codify the laws of this economy. Become genuinely interested in other people, he advises. But the dark side whispers a corollary, because their interest is the most valuable commodity they can give you. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Dark side reframes this. A name is a handle. Grab it, and you grab their attention. This connects to a deeper, almost Jungian shadow, our innate desire for social dominance, camouflaged by the veneer of civility. We don't want to conquer with swords. We want to conquer with smiles. We don't want to command obedience. We want to inspire willing submission. It is the Stoic philosophy inverted. Instead of controlling our own internal judgments, we become master manipulators of the judgments of others. You feel this hidden problem every day. You feel it in the exhaustion that follows a networking event where you've performed a script of interest you didn't truly feel. You feel it in the quiet resentment when a family member seems to listen only to rebut, not to understand. The book holds up a mirror to these moments and reveals the terrifying truth. We are all already amateur manipulators, bumbling through the social landscape, using crude, inefficient versions of these very principles. We flatter clumsily. We seek to talk about ourselves. We try to win arguments to prove our worth. Carnegie's dark side simply offers us the professional-grade tools. This is the true tension. The problem isn't that the principles create monsters. The problem is that they speak directly to the monster that already sleeps within, the part of us that views every interaction as a subtle negotiation for status, for security, for love. The book diagnoses our inherent transactional nature and then provides the ledger. To ignore this diagnosis is to remain a pawn in the game, unaware of the rules you are already playing by. You are either consciously navigating the economy of validation, or you are its unconscious product, your buttons being pressed by those who have studied the circuitry. The consequence of this ignorance is a life lived as a puppet, mistaking the strings for genuine connection, never realizing you are dancing to a tune composed by someone who read the manipulator's handbook. And as we will see, this silent game shapes not just individual lives, but the very fabric of our world. If this diagnosis of our hidden social dynamics resonates with you, subscribe to the channel. We are just beginning to unravel the consequences, and your engagement fuels this deep dive. So like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt like a pawn in someone else's game? The consequence of this unspoken economy of validation is a world built on a foundation of strategic intimacy, a society where reality itself becomes malleable in the hands of the most skilled influencers. This is not merely about awkward parties or manipulative sales pitches. This is about the silent, architectural reshaping of our personal realities, our institutions, and our collective future. When Carnegie's principles are weaponized, they don't just win friends or influence people. They manufacture consensus, they engineer desire, and they rewrite truth as a function of social approval. We live in the world this problem has built. Consider the book's principle of avoiding argument and never telling someone they are wrong. In its light form, this is wisdom. In its shadow, it becomes the blueprint for the echo chamber. A skilled operator doesn't debate. They affirm. They create a space where your existing beliefs are constantly mirrored and validated, making the world outside that bubble seem hostile, wrong, and unkind. Your reality becomes the one they have carefully curated for you. This is the dark art of the social media algorithm and the charismatic demagogue alike. They have mastered the digital and human application of making the other person feel important by relentlessly reflecting their own biases back at them. The consequence is a fractured world, not of open conflict, but of isolated, self-validating tribes. The book's emphasis on appreciation and praise undergoes a similar terrifying transformation. Be hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise, Carnegie writes. But what is a cult if not the most extreme expression of this principle? The leader is lavish in his praise for the follower's loyalty, creating a dopamine-driven feedback loop where conformity is rewarded with validation and dissent is met with its cold withdrawal. This isn't just a hypothetical. It's the psychological engine of every high-control group and toxic corporate culture in history. The stakes of ignoring this are nothing less than the loss of autonomous thought. You become what the influencer needs you to be, because being that person feels so profoundly good. This shapes your most intimate relationships. Have you ever felt a vague unease in a friendship? A sense that you are performing a role rather than sharing a life? That is the consequence in microcosm. Relationships become unwritten contracts of validation exchange, held together not by genuine bonds, but by the sophisticated application of technique. The world the dark side creates is one of profound loneliness, disguised by a cacophony of connection. It is a hall of mirrors where every reflection is designed to flatter you, and every voice is an echo of your own, until you forget what your own authentic voice ever sounded like. The terrifying truth the book leads us toward is that the ultimate power isn't to be liked, but to be the unseen architect of the prison in which others willingly reside. But if this is the trap, what, then, is the key? How do we wield these powerful laws of human nature without having our own humanity corroded in the process? The answer lies not in rejecting the principles, but in a radical shift of their foundation. The solution is not to stop influencing, but to change the very source of your influence. The dark side operates from a place of lack, a hungry ego seeking to fill its own void through the control of others. The path out of the darkness is to operate from a place of genuine abundance, a secure self that seeks to connect from a foundation of authentic curiosity and value. The framework is the same, but the inner world of the operator is utterly transformed. It is the difference between a forger, meticulously replicating a signature for gain, and the original artist, whose authentic stroke creates something of true worth. The counterintuitive strategy the book implicitly offers is this: you must influence others by surrendering the desire to control them. This is the core mindset shift. The dark practitioner uses a person's name to own their attention. The enlightened practitioner uses a person's name to honor their unique existence. The dark practitioner offers praise as a transaction, a coin to purchase compliance. The enlightened practitioner offers genuine appreciation as a gift, with no expectation of return. This is not a minor adjustment in technique. It is a philosophical revolution. It draws from Stoic philosophy, focusing entirely on your own virtuous intent, which you can control, and releasing your attachment to the outcome, which you cannot. The most profound influence you can ever wield is to be a person of such authentic integrity that people are influenced not by your strategy, but by your essence. The book provides a powerful, if unstated, metaphor to illustrate this shift. The difference between a manipulator and a gardener. A manipulator is like a person who paints leaves onto a dead branch. The effect is immediate and superficially convincing, but it is brittle, false, and will never bear fruit. The gardener, however, tends to the soil. They provide genuine water, sunlight, and nutrients, the elements of authentic care, active listening, and selfless interest. The growth is slow. It is organic. It cannot be forced. But what emerges is living, resilient, and fruitful. The gardener does not command the plant to grow. They create the conditions for it to thrive. Your relationships are the same. You cannot command friendship or demand influence. You can only create the conditions of such profound authenticity and value that they grow naturally and enduringly. This path is far more demanding than the dark side. It requires you to do the hard internal work of building a self that doesn't need to manipulate to feel secure. It asks you to find your validation internally, so that your appreciation of others is no longer a covert plea for their approval. When you do this, the principles cease to be techniques and become expressions of your character. You are not using a principle to remember a name. You are a person who naturally values and remembers others. This is the secret the book has been guarding all along. The ultimate power is not in winning friends, but in being a friend. Not in influencing people, but in becoming a person worthy of influence. But this raises one final haunting question. If this is the true path, what does it ultimately reveal about the nature of power and human connection itself? Now that you've seen the path from manipulation to authentic influence, subscribe so you don't miss the final crucial synthesis. If this shift in perspective landed for you, let us know with a like and comment below on which principle you will practice with this new intention. The book's final, most profound revelation is this: the ultimate power is not influence over others, but absolute sovereignty over the dark side within yourself. The paradigm shift it demands is a complete inversion of the world's understanding of strength. We are taught that power is the ability to shape the external world to our will, to win, to influence, to control. But the dark side exposes this as a fragile, exhausting illusion, a puppet master's delusion that he is free because he holds the strings. The ultimate truth is that real, unshakable power is the courage to disarm your own manipulative instincts, to meet the world not with a strategist's calculus, but with a human being's vulnerable, authentic presence. The final synthesis is that the path to truly winning friends and influencing people is to abandon the desire to win as your primary motive. This is the lasting alteration to your worldview. After turning the final page, you can no longer see a smile as just a smile, a compliment as just a compliment. You see the entire spectrum of human connection, from the transactional to the transcendent. You understand that every interaction is a choice point. Will you act from a place of lack, seeking to extract validation and compliance? Or will you act from a place of integrity, offering genuine connection without demanding a specific return? This is the book's ultimate, haunting gift. It makes you ethically responsible for the subtle energy you bring into every room, every conversation, every relationship. You can no longer plead ignorance to the mechanics of influence. The book's lasting impact is not a set of techniques, but a mirror. It forces you to conduct a ruthless audit of your own intentions. Are you listening to understand? Or are you listening to reply? Are you appreciating to uplift? Or are you flattering to disarm? The dark side is not a monster lurking in a distant, charismatic figure. It is the quiet, self-serving whisper in your own mind, the part of you that sees other people as instruments for your own story. To master the principles is to forever stand at this crossroads, consciously choosing the path of genuine connection over the seductive, easy shortcut of manipulation. So as we close this chapter, the invitation is not to become a master of people, but to become a master of yourself. To use these laws not as levers, but as bridges. To build a life where your influence is not a monument to your own ego, but a legacy of the value you brought to others. The final truth is that the most influential person in any room is the one who has nothing to prove, and therefore everything to give. You are left not with a checklist, but with a choice. Will you wield the darkness, or will you become the light? The key was never for the door of others' minds, but for the one you must now unlock within your own. If this journey into the heart of authentic power has changed your perspective, subscribe for more philosophical deep dives. Your support builds this community of conscious thinkers. So like the video if you valued it, and comment with the one insight that will most permanently alter your approach to connection.